Good afternoon. You're welcome to News Reviews. First, the headlines. Peter Obi challenges President Tinubu. Reintroduce yourself to Nigerians. Clear controversies surrounding your personality. Controversy trails federal government's appointment of Olukoyede as new EFCC chairman as Bawa resigns. We are not complete until you kill Boko Haram terrorists, Chief of Defense Staff tells troops. Don't insist on police report before saving lives, federal government tells hospitals. NPAR program suspended indefinitely over ghost participants' trapped funds. CBN lifts forex restrictions on importation of 43 items. Lagos government to demolish Bombata, Jankara. Lagos government to demolish Bombata Jankara markets in urban regeneration drive. Gbadebo Roads Vivo files 21 grounds of appeal challenging tribunal verdict on Sanwo-Olu. Army mop up unexploded bombs in Ikeja cantonment 21 years after bomb blast. Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Igboho regains freedom from Benin detention after 2 years. Senator Ifeanyi Uba dumps YPP, joins APC. Japa. Health Ministry orders engagement of retired doctors as consultants, contract workers. Bolanle's murder. Court sentences killer cop to death by hanging. President approves establishment of FCT Civil Service Commission, pulls it out of TSA. President Tinubu appoints new CEOs for CAC, SON, others, replaces FERMA board. Ondo Assembly suspends impeachment proceedings against Deputy Governor following State Chief Judge's refusal to constitute panel. Lagos State shuts down Mile 12, Owode Oniri markets over sanitation offences. Burkina Faso signs MOU with Russia to build nuclear power plant. Niger junta orders UN resident coordinator to vacate country within 72 hours of France begins troops withdrawal. Israel-Palestine conflict. Thousands killed, more injured as UN. World powers disagree on peace path. Israel begins raid preparatory of full ground invasion of Gaza. Today is the 14th of October 2023, coinciding with 29th day of Rabiul Awal, 1445 AH. It's a beautiful afternoon here. Dr. OLUBUNMI, you're welcome.
Good afternoon, Nigerians. Good afternoon to all our listeners.
Right, let's get straight into it. EFCC has a new
boss.
Yes, a new boss. Who is he? What do we know about him? And why is there controversy around his appointment?
Well, Barrister Olukoyede is a legal practitioner and the immediate past secretary of the commission. He actually came in as a chief of staff to the then acting chairman of the EFCC under Ibrahim Magu. Then 2 years down the line, he was upgraded to the position of secretary of the commission, and that's because of the adjustment in the organizational structure of the commission, where the secretary now becomes the head of administration of the agency. So, and he has been there for since 2018 as the secretary of the commission, and now appointed as chairman. Now, the controversy actually surrounds the fact that looking at the EFCC Act, says that whoever that would be appointed to the position of the chairman of the commission must be a retired or a serving person in one of the Nigerian security agencies.
Okay.
So, be it police, be it army, anything, security agency. Or law enforcement agency, let me put it that way. So, and the person must be of the rank that is equivalent to an assistant commissioner of police. Then at the same time, the person must have 15 years cognate experience. Okay. That's as far as the EFCC Act stipulates at the position of the chairman of the commission. And the question then is, for Barrister Olukoyede, now, he's a legal practitioner, not a member of the law enforcement agency.
Okay.
So the question is, would you say he has the cognate experience required of someone that would emerge as the chairman of the commission? The controversy stems from the fact that people are saying, after all, he has been actually within, the rank and file of the EFCC. At least he has been in the organization.
He's learned the ropes.
And this for about 7 years. So the question then is, first, would you say in that capacity, in the capacity with which he has worked with the EFCC, would you say he qualifies as a serving or retired personnel of a law enforcement agency? That is on the one hand. Then on the other hand is also the fact that, would you say his position as secretary of the commission is equivalent to that of the Assistant Commissioner of Police? That's an ambiguity, because you cannot, that is, I don't think, and if you are to look at it, you're talking about probably extra ministerial agencies. Now, the secretary, if he truly is the head of admin, most likely that's more like a position of a perm sec, if you're looking at it from that angle. And the ACP rank in the police, as far as I am concerned, if I had to compare it with, that the police service is actually a public service compared to a civil service. Mm-hmm. So would you say now that the ACP rank is higher probably than that of the perm sec or the secretary of an agency? So would you say, is it just a secretary or an executive secretary? That's another thing. So these are the controversies that you have there. Then again is the fact that, probably has been a practicing lawyer for 22 years, especially in the area of financial crimes and things like that. Right. The question then is, the 15 years experience as stated in the EFCC Act, is it 15 years cognate experience as far as law enforcement is concerned, or 15 years of career practice?
Okay.
So that's where the controversy is. Then you now look at it that, first, Bawa had been arrested since June. He has never been brought to court. He has never been charged. Now, what kind of scenario is playing out? That you probably appoint someone and you say, the former office holder resigned. The same way we were told that Emefiele resigned. But we actually did not see the resignation. Okay. But then we had that they told us that he has resigned, and that paved the way for the appointment of the substantive officials into the position into CBN. So. Now, in the same thing now, the EFCC, now they told us that Bawa has resigned. So it was on the day of the announcement of the resignation of Bawa that you now had this person. So that issue of whether or not, how true is the fact that these persons have resigned? Because since the period of the announcement of their resignation, they've not even been allowed opportunity to probably express themselves. They are in detention. They've been in detention since then. So it means probably, even if they resign, would we not say that such resignation is actually under duress?
Okay.
Without an opportunity to really express themselves. Then again, you now look at it that, will the National Assembly, the Senate, allow this to pass? Because the EFCC Act is a product of is an act of Parliament. So will the Parliament jettison its own provisions, or will they provide clarity as regards some of the provisions in that act, talking about the qualification for the position of the chairmanship of the commission? Then there are some other controversies too, that probably at some point in time, this same Olukoyede was probably even suspended from the EFCC or something. Like you see, there are so many issues flying out there. So it's only about the fact that whether or not he has a cognitive experience or is qualified to actually occupy that position. Then finally is the fact that the idea of urbanization of this current administration is something that is giving, for me, a whole lot of concern.
Okay.
That we cannot criticize Buhari for being nepotistic about the fact that probably northernization, I would not subscribe to the idea of Fulanization, because we are always making this mistake that if probably someone is appointed from the south, we'll say, he's from the southwest. Okay. This person, he's from the south. This one is from the southeast. But when you just hear another, you say he's a northerner.
Yeah.
As if in the north you don't have northeast, north central, or northwest. So I would not, but the idea that probably some key positions in this administration probably are actually being occupied by the southwesterners. So I hope the president is actually looking at, the impression and the perception he is giving to Nigerians concerning his administration, that is this about Nigeria or about the Southwest?
Okay. Valid point. Isn't this coming too late? Or rather, shall I say, how will this be enforced? Don't insist on police report before saving lives. That's what the federal government is telling the hospitals. Who's going to enforce this? Who's going to ensure, or what apparatus is in place to ensure that lives are not lost because you're insisting on police report? Fortunately, I think it was 2 weeks ago or last week, the cases that happened in Abuja, one of these involved the police. The police themselves took, one of the patients to the hospital. They didn't even accept it from the police themselves without a report. So who will enforce this?
Actually, it's the hospitals themselves that should really comply to this idea that even if someone is a criminal, you save the life first before you talk about a police report. Because sometimes emergencies will not wait for police report to, come. If you are to wait for, the report to be ready, the life might have been lost. And it's not in your place to declare probably someone as guilty or innocent. What matters most is a life is at stake, and that life needs to be saved. So what we should do is to actually save the lives. Now, it's important that the federal government itself is coming out to say this, because before now, the pressure has always been on the hospitals that they will claim that they suffer harassment from the police for treating victims of gunshot wounds or different accidents like that, emergencies, without police report. And at the end of the day, such hospitals might actually probably be closed down, or the owner arrested or something like that. It's actually about harassment. The police cannot sanction anybody. It's not in their place. You can arrest, you can prosecute, you cannot pronounce judgment on anyone. So you cannot sanction. The power of sanction is not in the hands of the police. So now I think that with the pressure on the police themselves, with some of these incidents like the one you mentioned, and the fact that hospitals have actually been trying to comply with police directives that they must get police report probably before they treat, and people have been saying that this is inhumane, and it is illogical, it's irrational, that you are talking about life. Is the offense more important than the life? So for that reason, now it is actually the Minister of Health and the coordinator of humanitarian affairs in this and welfare in this administration, Professor Ali Pate, was the one that actually made mention of this, that no, hospitals henceforth treat victims of emergencies first before. You don't need police reports.
I wonder if there will be a sensitization tour or exercise or efforts from the federal government to follow up this injunction, such that, because ordinarily an average Nigerian will see someone harmed or hurt by the roadside and will walk away for fear of if I take the person, I'll be the one in trouble. So what efforts I think they need to back up this injunction. It shouldn't just be an instruction to the hospitals, but it should also be, there should be a sensitization for Nigerians to.
Now, I love that. So, and I think on that note, it's something that we need to encourage interagency cooperation, in the sense that there should be probably more like interministerial interaction on this matter, where probably you have the Minister of Health, you have the Minister of Internal Affairs, you have the Minister of Police Affairs, you have the Inspector General of Police, all seated, addressing Nigerians and telling all relevant agencies and individuals and stakeholders, as far as the idea of saving lives of people is concerned, that when these happen, this is the line of action that should be taken.
Yes.
And that probably no Nigerian should be harassed for trying to save the life of another Nigerian that is in danger.
True.
Because a lot of times you hear even a situation where you, as a good Samaritan, trying to help someone that is in danger to the hospital, and the next is, because probably it's your vehicle, the policeman will just stop you, say, who told you to, you are the one, so you have killed this person. Some of these barbaric action of our security agencies. So it also shows that there is a need for proper reorientation.
True.
And I think that is something that, and that's why I'm saying that the Inspector General of Police and the Ministry of Police Affairs needs to be involved in all this. So it's not just about the Ministry of Health. So at the end of the day, it will trickle down to the rank and file of the police, and at the same time to also trickle down to the rank and files of workers in the health system, so that at the end of the day all of us can actually be working together so that we can realize the same goal.
All right, let's go to Empower very quickly. So the program has been suspended because of the new sheriff in town. She found out that there are ghost participants, there are trapped funds, there are people that should have exited the program and they refused to exit.
That program is actually riddled with corruption, even from inception. Because you have a situation where you're talking about empower people, those that are probably on the payroll of the government under the Empower program, and they are not actually reporting at any place of primary assignment. And at the end of the day, they continue to get money. So you have people that, in fact, you have a situation where there are some areas where you think probably their services are more required, but they don't get people there. But then you have these people that are probably sitting at home or even doing some other work. Because I know that was a particular person that I knew that at that time the person was actually serving. He's a serving corps member and still on Empower, payroll. So he's collecting money from Empower, collecting money from the NYSC, working as a volunteer teacher. So that's something that whole. So program.
You'll say it's a welcome development.
It's a welcome development. But I just hope the fear I'm having is so it won't be a case of replace corruption with corruption. So it won't be a case of those were the people. So now it's our own time. So let us actually replace those people with our own people, and it will still be same of the same.
Right. So it's a thing of trust. Let's trust the process. Let's hope that
no, it's not just about trust. You cannot trust the process if there is no transparency. So it's for them to actually be transparent about the whole operation. So let us know the recruitment process. Let it be open. Let it be transparent. Then it's not just about you recruiting these people. Where they will be posted, you also need to make it open so that Nigerians can actually verify whether truly they are posted there, and the reason, at least justification for the posting, should also be given to us. It's on the basis of request. We need probably some teachers in this area, or we need some workers in this area, or we need people. So at the end of the day, we know that we are using this to actually build their capacity, give them work experience, and open up opportunities for them in the nearest future.
Indeed. So this news shocked me because I would have expected that this is long overdue. They should have done this. The army just mopping up the unexploded bombs after 21 years. Were we waiting for another bomb blast before mopping up the unexploded bombs?
You remember that actually these bombs were those that have been stored not even for 21 years. They've been there since the period of the Civil War.
Right.
So now you have them, and ordinarily it's supposed to be a thing probably on a periodic basis that we actually check the state of these armaments, and for those ones that will feel like at this juncture probably they are no longer fit for the nature of the warfare that we're facing as of now, so we probably need to decommission them, or probably find a way to safely detonate them so that they actually don't cause harm to the people. Now it's because that did not happen then that we witnessed the bomb blast in 2021, the loss of lives, especially
property,
and so many others like that. Now, see, the best time to have done that probably so many years ago. The next best time to do it is now. So let's one way or the other.
We should applaud them
on that basis. See, at least we've had series of administrations since 1999 till date. So if they didn't do it, and this one decided that let us do it. See, all well and good.
Okay, so thank God for us then. What would you say about the health ministry ordering that retired doctors be reabsorbed as consultants and contract workers?
It's the reality of the situation, because the health workers that are currently retained within the health service in Nigeria are actually overstretched. The workers are overstretched. They are overworked, and at the end of the day, it's not as if probably we even have a lot of them that are still waiting. For those that are still here, probably apart from those that are currently working, majority of them are probably those that are still in school. And a lot of them are also thinking, by the time I finish, I'll get out. So now you have a situation where some people, they're actually retired. So what they are looking at is probably, there are times that you have people that will retire not because probably they've even attained the age of 60 years or 65. It's actually because of the number of years in service that they have spent. So if they still feel like we still require the experience, the expertise, and the services of these people, even though they are retired, we can re-engage them on contractual terms. So, and that's why the idea of contractor and probably as consultants and things like that. So it's better we have those retired people probably still offering those services than for us not to have anyone at all to relieve the people that you have that have already left.
Fair enough. The CBN lifts forex restrictions on importation of 43 items. Is that good news or bad news?
Well, it depends on the outcome of the whole thing. But I think that there is a need for us to really reorientate Nigerians. See, there is a difference between restricting access to forex in the official market and restricting the ban on the importation of some items. There are two things that Nigerians are actually conflicting. Now, first is that you have these items because of the forex crisis that started in 2016 under MFLA, that it now felt that, okay, one of the things that we need to do, because we don't have enough dollars to actually give to the people.
Those that
so
need
let us restrict it,
them.
to access to it, to those that want to probably import those materials that are not being produced in Nigeria. But what did we find out? Eventually, even for 8 years that the policy, was implemented, it did not work. That did not help the plight of the Naira in any way. That did not even stop the importation of these same items. And that did not stop Nigerians from actually purchasing these same items. So the question then is, if it did not work, can't we tweak it? That's one. Number two is also the fact that it does not remove the ban on the importation of such items if truly they exist. Now, it is not the responsibility of CBN to ban the importation of some of these items,
Sure.
especially the ones that are locally produced. It's not the work of the CBN. CBN is only saying that I restricted access to forex. So now I'm opening it up so that, see, anybody, you want forex and there is a genuine, evidence for it that this is needed, let everybody have access to forex. See, these restrictions are actually not helping us. And the question we should ask ourselves, let me give you an instance. Look at the issue of rice.
Right.
The government banned the importation of rice to help local farmers. What did we get in return? Hell. From the same Nigerian farmers. First, we actually did not show that we have the capacity to produce enough rice locally that can meet the demands of the people. That's number one. Number two is also the fact that we also did not even show that we have the capacity to produce the level of quality that probably some of these, so to say, expired foreign rice have. Probably in terms of tail or any other thing like that is left to people because that is relative. For me, I have been eating local rice and I'm okay.
Been doing well.
It's been doing well. But then it's only some special brands that meet up with the quality.
And we'll get them. More brands will follow.
Now the reality now is that what did we get in return? In terms of pricing, that it jumped from an average price of 8,000 naira for a 50 kilogram bag of rice to 20,000, 30,000. And with this current administration now, it has jumped to almost 50,000 naira for a bag of rice that we are producing locally. Then what's the justification? So if at all, and we are talking about food inflation, if that is what will be needed to stem the current food inflation in the country, please, so be it. We banned the importation of flour. What happened to flour? We banned the importation of sugar. What happened to sugar? See, some of these items, the Nigerian local manufacturers really did not justify the policies of government to actually help them.
Right. Let's look at the markets, and that's where because time is fast spent. Lagos government demolished. They are two demolished. They haven't gone ahead, but they will also Jankara Market and Bombata Market because they want to give way to the urban regeneration drive, and I would like us to look at that side by side. The Mount 12 and Owodeoneri markets, and just so I think it was last week I saw a
too, they
video.
also said that Ladipo remains.
Yes. So Owode, I remember they did a sanitation exercise and they were all out on social media begging the government that we're doing what we're supposed to do. We've been on our feet since morning. Look around us; it's all clean and all of that. So I thought that would warm the hearts of the government. Apparently, they already
Probably it still did
made
not
up
meet
their
up with
minds.
it.
The
I
level
wouldn't say
they
it
expected.
probably did not warm the hearts of the people in government. Probably it did not meet the expectation or the minimum requirement the government actually set for them. That's number one. Number two is also the fact that you're talking about some of these markets where a lot of these consumables are things that affect the general well-being of Nigerians, and you're trading in some of these very unhygienic environment. Now, we might be opening
Owodionere, for example, is Owodionere spare parts
spare
and
part. Now, the
stuff.
reality is that it is spare part does not mean we actually should violate sanitation rules.
I agree.
So that's that. Then again is the fact that one way or the other, see, there is something that we need to probably achieve with all this. And I hope that it is about the fact that we're actually sending the message to the people that government will not tolerate a situation where you just feel because it is a market, it should be free for all without regulation, without a maintenance of, hygiene, or without even maintenance of, the normal decorum that you expect. Because, see, there are so many issues that bedevil these markets beyond just even the issue of sanitation. So I hope that the government too would also be comprehensive in its approach to some of this. Is not just cherry picking, just sanitation. Today, another time is it. How about the issue of corporate governance as far as the management of these markets is concerned? How about the issue of tax remittances? How about so many other issues like that? The issue of street
Traffic,
trading, traffic
yes.
control, and so many of these issues are it should be wholesome.
Right.
Not just being selective, and you should also send that message to everyone that no one is above the law.
Indeed. All right, let's quickly touch base with Ondo Assembly. We've been talking about Ondo. It has been in the news week in, week out. And unfortunately, the proceedings have now been suspended because the chief judge wouldn't constitute the panel.
Because there is a subsisting court order preventing the House from continuing with the impeachment proceedings pending when the application filed by Deputy Governor will be heard by the court, and let them also come and defend their case in court as to why that action should actually, be sustained and not jettisoned. But rather than appeal or actually even showcase in court that, okay, fine, we have obeyed, the action of the court order of the court, and now we have actually come to tell you why we think we should go ahead with this action. They just went ahead and felt that nobody can stop us. Unfortunately, it's the same Ondo State High Court. Now you are now the same judge that is the head of the judiciary in that state. You are approaching to now say constitute a panel that will impeach the deputy governor. It doesn't make any sense. And you are saying that because the deputy governor failed to come and appear before you, and he's telling you that a court has said stay action. So my appearance would be that myself, I would bungle my own case. Yeah. So, and I will not do that. So, and I love the fact that he also maintained his calmness. And for some other ones, because APC National Working Committee is also trying to come in now, I think he has even withdrawn his case in one of the courts and things like that. That the court eventually struck out that no, you cannot be doing shopping for judgment in different courts. That you already have one court that has already listened to you. So why do you want to go to another court again? That would be abuse of court processes. So he is doing that. Now at the end of the day, the chief judge refused to actually set up that panel, and for that reason they felt that's probably a bus stop for now. So then let's just halt, and they have decided to do that, and they felt that would obey the order of the court. And since the judge himself too the chief judge has also refused to constitute the panel, they will probably just hold on pending when the case will be dispensed in court.
It's interesting. I just hope that in this time that action is being, they can, with the APC also getting involved. I'm just hoping.
I believe they can. I hope that
will be achieved in this time.
Right.
Let's cross over. Let's leave the borders, shores of this land, and go to our neighboring African countries. Burkina Faso has signed an MOU with Russia to build nuclear power plants.
And the idea is, when we talk about electricity supply, Burkina Faso is one of the worst nations when it comes to access to electricity.
Right.
In fact, it's said that probably just only about 20% of the citizens of that country have access to public power supply.
Wow.
Yes. So now they felt that for all these years that France has actually been in charge or being a neo-colonialist as far as the country is concerned, we've really not benefited anything. So if probably Russia will be the new friend, that will assist us in probably achieving this. And they are saying that we are not even doing hydro, we are not doing gas, we are not doing anything. We are actually going nuclear. So, so and they said it's actually for peaceful means. So just for nuclear power plant. We have nuclear power plant also in France. So if France can have it, so why not Burkina Faso? And this time around, signed an MOU with Russia to help them with
the public enemy.
So to help them with that. See, you can understand what is going on.
Of course,
I mean, yes. So Russia are paying back, France in its own coin.
Interesting. Niger junta, they've ordered the UN resident coordinator to vacate the country within 72 hours.
And you look at that.
Starts to withdraw their troops.
No, well, already France is already withdrawing its troops and saying, well, bye-bye. Now, this would probably be the third country that France has actually been told to withdraw. So it has withdrawn in Guinea, it has withdrawn, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, now Niger. Well, I think it serves France, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, France has really not contributed, meaningfully to development of those countries. Now they attained independence, but you actually did not free them. So it's independence on paper. So and you reintroduce, brought back neocolonialism in another, perspective. So if that is what they will need to actually emphasize their independence, so be it. But then the idea is the fact that the junta is reacting because the UN coordinator in Niger did not, or probably is believed that did a lot in affecting the participation at the UN General Assembly. So the idea is that the UN coordinator did not do enough to allow them participate in the UN General Assembly. So for that reason, as a junta, they felt that, okay, fine, if you would not allow us participate in the United Nations General Assembly, they will also not allow you actually stay in our country. And that's more like, to them, they feel it's tit for tat.
Tit for tat indeed. Israel, Palestine, I was going to mention it last Saturday because the drama started on Saturday, but it just kept my mind at the last minute, right? So it's a case of, how long will the world look on as the gross injustice is continued in Palestine?
I think at this juncture, what I will tell the world is, for those that are truly interested in peace on that land, we should look away from the Western world powers.
Right.
Because the reality of the situation of Palestinians is that the problem they are facing was actually caused by this same set of people.
Right.
See, this started from November 1917 with the Balfour Declaration. And since then, it has never been the same for the lives of Palestinians. And unfortunately, see, I marvel at the level of ignorance of people all over the world, as far as the origin of this problem is concerned. The problem of Palestine and Israel did not start on 7th October 2023.
Indeed.
So we must state that categorically. It did not start 7th October. And it started when one nation, Britain, in conjunction with Italy, France, and Russia, using the instrumentality of the League of Nations, as it was called then, to promise another nation that was non-existent, this time the Zionist Israel, the land of another set of people, the Palestinians. And when I say Palestinians, please hear me well. I am not saying Arab Muslims. I'm talking about Palestinians that are indigenous on that land for over 2,000 years.
Right.
You have Muslims among them. You have Christians. You have Jews. Now, brought some people from Europe. You promised them the land of the indigenous people of Palestine without consulting them. See, go and check records. That name, the name for that land has been Palestine for over 4,000 years.
They only deleted it from the map of the world.
It was only deleted from the map of the world in 1948, when Israel declared independence. In fact, if you check the Balfour Declaration of 1917, it stated that it has been concluded that the Jews in Europe would be resettled on the so-called ancestral land of Palestine. The word Palestine was mentioned in that declaration because as of then, there was nothing called Israel on the world map.
True.
There has never been a place called Israel in the history of the world before 1948. I dare anyone to challenge me on this. You would see from historical records, from coin, from everything, even from the world record itself as it is, that the name of that land had been Palestine. And what did you do? You established these people there, and you allow them to exterminate, to cleanse, to expel the original inhabitants of the land. Now, I know some of you might say, oh, probably because a lot of people will tell you on the basis of biblical records, hello, you cannot force your own beliefs because it is contained in the Bible on the people that do not believe in what you believe. And probably for Nigerian Christians or for the Christians of the world who are supporting Israel on the basis of probably because of it is of the Bible. Go and look at, when we talk about Palestinians, you have Christians among them. You have more Palestinian Christians than Palestinian Jews on that land before 1948.
Right.
Then again, as of today, the remaining people that you have as Palestinians, you have more Christians being affected. But let me tell you, see, the Christians have two holy sites in today's Israel that they don't have access to, that they are being restricted the same way the Muslims of Palestine are being restricted from the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Church of Nativity in Bethlehem and the Church of Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, those two holy sites, the Christians in Palestine are denied access to it. So if you don't know, please know. Then also remember that these Jews were actually expelled, or by conquest away from that land. By so many different people have actually conquered that same place, but the land has remained Palestine.
Yeah.
So in all of this, look at the hypocrisy of the world powers. Now, these same people said, oh, Ukraine, we stand for Ukraine. Ukraine is being occupied by Russia. He's been attacked by Russia. So the whole world gathered around the oppressed Ukrainians. Now, the whole world is actually siding with the oppressor of the Palestinians, in this case, Israel.
Indeed. Yeah.
So you cannot blockade people, expel them, kill them, deny them the basic human rights of access to water, electricity, fuel, their own self-governance. They don't have a military, they don't have weapons, they don't have anything of their own. They don't have an ambition of their own the same way you have ambition of your own. In fact, their lands have been taken away. And let me tell you, it's easier for me as a foreigner that I have no business with Israel. It's easier for me to get land and buy and settle down in Israel today than for an indigenous Palestinian to have the same.
Right.
Rather, what they will do is to revoke the land of a Palestinian and give it to me if I decide to identify myself as a Jew. So it is this injustice that is ongoing. And you now have the Gaza Strip. See, let me tell you, when people have been pushed to the wall, there is nothing again that you can do that will be surprising to them. See, they've been killed. It's not today. They've always been killed. And they are telling you that you can kill us for as much as you want, but you never take away our right to resist occupation. You never take away our right to resist this injustice.
Right.
And the world cannot have peace without justice. That is something we must realize. That you cannot say it is justice for Ukraine because Russia attacked, Russia is the aggressor, and you are now saying that it is not justice for Palestinians when Israel is the actual aggressor.
Right.
Not to not talk about the propaganda, the misinformation, and so many things. Oh, baby's been decapitated and things like
We will
that.
carry on
you know,
until, I know you are pent up. I should have had this news in the beginning rather than at the
let
end.
me just close with this.
Right.
And that is the fact that it has shown that United Nations has lost its moral rectitude to appeal for people to obey UN resolution when it does not involve the world powers and their allies.
True.
It has shown that United Nations has lost the moral rights to criminalize the action of some people at the International Criminal Court or International Court of Justice when you will not uphold the same for people like the United States, for Israel, and for their own war crimes. On a final notice, I want to appeal to the world that let us not be beclouded by our religious, ethnic, or economic affiliation with some of the people to avoid us from saying the truth. And it is only the truth and justice that can actually restore peace to every part of the world, regardless of who is involved.
I agree with you, and on that note, that's how fair we can take on this show. The news review will be back at the same time next week. 2 p.m. is the time to clock in. 1 p.m. I beg your pardon, it's time to clock in to catch up on all the news that happened in the course of the week. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Until then, stay blessed.